All right, guys, let's look at another student example today. Um, First, I want to look at this as a counterclaim and refutation, even though that's not what I'm asking you to write for today's assignment. But as I've been grading, there's been some common mistakes I've been finding, and this does not make that mistake. It does a really good job, and so I want to point it out to everyone. Okay, so the counterclaim, right, the opposite, starts right here, step one, even though, okay, that's our transition word. And then we have our sentence starter. Some people might say, then we finish the sentence. Okay, Smith and Hickok were responsible for the Walker family murders. And then step three, because they were in the location where the murders occurred. Okay, that's the argument, is location. So whatever we say up here in the counterclaim, we have to say the exact same thing in the refutation. That's what we're arguing. We're arguing the location. All right. So when we get to that refutation, okay, we have nevertheless, right? That's step one. What they fail to recognize is that's our sentence starter. And then we finish the sentence. The police had no clear evidence to relate Smith and Hickok to the crime. Okay. So this is our topic sentence. This is our main idea. They had no clear evidence to relate them to the crime. Does that show an argument with location? Not specifically, but it's not a completely different argument either, right? Like we're not arguing DNA. We're just saying there's no clear evidence. Okay, then step three is supporting details. Okay, the murders took place in 1959 and the police did an investigation that included them as suspects. So, could this investigation have anything to do with location? Absolutely. So, my point, whatever you do in your counterclaim has to be the same in your refutation. Make the same argument. Okay. Now, for today's assignment, you are not necessarily making an argument, okay? You are just writing one paragraph from what could be an informational piece of writing. The instructions for this to write a paragraph from a news article about an important event from today's reading. So use your rainbow paragraph. Okay, so your rainbow paragraph, and that's another reason I chose this example because this student has already color coded it for us. Okay, informational, which means that we're going to completely get rid of the counterclaim, okay? Because we're not necessarily making an argument, which also means we can get rid of part of the refutation, okay? We can get rid of the transition word, we can get rid of the sentence starter. What they fail to recognize is that. All right? Okay. So here's what I want from you. Rainbow paragraph. All right? Step one is pink. This is your main idea. Right here. The police had no clear evidence to relate Smith and Hickok to the crime. Okay, so if this is going to be the first sentence, then we may not know what the crime is, so we may want to explain. Okay, but then step two is orange. These are your supporting details. Okay, this is going to be an example or an illustration, something to prove your main idea. So in this one, if the main idea is that the police had no clear evidence, support it, prove it. And this one's proving it by saying an investigation included Hickok and Smith as suspects. Okay? Step three. Okay, introduce your quote. As referred to in Did the Notorious in Cold Blood Killers Murder a Second Family in Florida. Okay, I think there's a comma there. That yellow's a little hard to see. Introduce the quote. So remember who was speaking, to whom, and in what context. All right, so in this one, the speaker, if you will, is the article, Did the Notorious in Cold Blood Killers Murder Second Family in Florida? Okay, that's the speaker. Who are they speaking to? Their readers. In what context? Well, the title tells you. All right, so this is fine. This is a great way to introduce the quote. Okay, so then our quote is step 4. I'm just going to put quotation marks, right? Because that's our quote. On December 30th, cops picked up Smith and Hickok in Las Vegas for the Clutter killings. Reportedly, Smith and Hickok passed a polygraph exam in regard to the Walker massacre, so police didn't pursue it further. I just want to point out that the student did a really good job right here with the citation, right? Finish that quotation mark, page number, period. All right, and then finally, step 5 is to explain. Okay, so when you're explaining how the quote proves or supports the topic sentence. Okay, I'm going to say that again. How does the quote, on December 30th, cops picked up Smith and Hickok in Las Vegas for the Clutter killings. Reportedly, Smith and Hickok passed a polygraph exam in regard to the Walker massacre, so police didn't pursue it further. How does that support or prove the topic sentence? The topic sentence is in pink. Police had no clear evidence to relate Smith and Hickok. That's what your blue should be, your step 5. And this says, since Smith and Hickok were originally investigated and then released, they were no longer considered suspects of the crime. While Smith and Hickok were in Florida during the time of the murders, they did not have a connection to the Walker family. All right, and this is perfect. So this is all you have to do. So you already know how to do this. In fact, it's a little bit easier than what you've already been doing. All right, so you're going to do this today for pages 279 to 285 or for pages 302 to 307.